Rocking into high pace. Grab your mates, it's time to unlock NHL Bar Talk.
Layup, get the damn hoop.
We go shot here.
The easiest I've heard the answer.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around.
We're all in this game, let the good times shake.
And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We're engaging our confidence on these NHL topics based on our choice of drink. So confident that you're buying around, so I'll have a beer. Oh, my dear Lord, can I have a shot? And just as a reminder, when is Wing Wednesday over at Boss Croakers? Head over there, 40-cent wings, $4 Miller Lights, $4 Yinglings, $2 tacos, chicken, or beef. And Phil, let's start with an anniversary that happened this week. Because 10 years ago, the New York Rangers traded Derek Brassard, big game brass, and a 7th-round draft pick for Mika Zibanejad and a 2018 2nd-round draft pick. So they actually moved up 5 rounds of the draft and got Mika Zibanejad. Okay. The Mika Zibanejad trade is the greatest in New York Rangers history.
Shot. It's Messier, and it probably always will be Messier. Messier broke the curse. He came in right away, won an MVP in his first season there, helped Brian Leetch to become the 5th defenseman in NHL history to score 100 points this season. Brian Leetch won the first of 2 Norris trophies, the other in 97. But Messier is still one of the all-time leaders in franchise scoring. Just probably the greatest talent that they've had outside of Leetch for a period of 5 years or more. Sorry, Wayne Gretzky. Your first 2 years there were very good, but your third one was really a farewell tour, and I don't think your heart was truly in it, and that team was god-awful. But yeah, it's Messier, and I know that some younger fans are probably going to try to say, oh, well, Zibanejad has been here longer, and well, Messier had 2 different stints. He had 2 different stints. The second stint wasn't as good as the first stint, obviously, but what he was able to do into his 40s was super impressive. You're not going to see many post 40 runs like the one that Messier had. And I do believe that if he probably would have stayed as a top 6 center, they would have put more talent around him on the wings, he probably would have continued to score 60 or more points a year until the very end of his career, because he could still go and he could still help run that power play. So, it's a shot for sure.
Yeah, it's a shot for me too, and I just wanted to look up one stat to make sure I had it for you. But Mika Zibanejad, 7th in New York Rangers all-time scoring, ironically enough, behind Mark Messier, who he should pass this year. By the time his career is over with the New York Rangers, he'll probably pass Andy Bathgate, possibly knocking on the door of Jean Rattel. Jean Rattel is 817 points. But let me also throw the shot up on there for you, because you can't say that. It's got to be the Mark Messier one. And again, Mark Messier, you look at that first year. First off, they didn't give up much for Mess. They gave up, I want to be precise with this, so let's do that. They gave up Louis DeBrusk, Bernie Nichols, and Stephen Rice. And they sent David Shaw with Messier to get him back. Oh, and then they got future considerations, which was Jeff Bukaboom, to complete the trade. So you actually got a top-line center and a top-line defenseman in the Mark Messier trade for DeBrusk, who's had a nice career. Let's be honest. We're thinking more about his son right now. Bernie Nichols, who had a great career, but he was on the back. He had a good career. His career is sort of, that's a conversation me and you, Phil, will get on that. Because I think Bernie Nichols is both underrated and sometimes overrated. Yeah. But you look at what Messier did. Comes over. He's the last New York Ranger to win the MVP because, screw Jaromir Jagr. And I still think Jagr should have won in 2006.
Yeah,
But
Yager should have. They gave him the Pearson. He should have won the Hart too. I mean, I think it should have won the other way around. Actually, no. I think Yager should have won both of them that year. Yager didn't have a talent like Marlowe in San Jose. San Jose had a
nope.
better team. The Ranger team that Yager was playing on was really supposed to be a bottom feeder team that was supposed to finish anywhere from the bottom 5 at 10 into the league. And then Yager and Lundqvist really carried that team to the playoffs. And look at what they did with the defense that was there. You had Michael Rosal and Marek Malik playing 22 minutes a game as a top pairing. That team should have never won anything. And Yager was just that damn good. It didn't matter who you put him with. He was just that damn good. I get it. Thornton helped Chichu to that massive season, and Chichu never came close to that ever again. But I mean, Chichu in 2004 was like a 28 goal, like I think 50-point player in 2004. Like he was on an upward trajectory. Was he ever going to get there without Thornton? No, like absolutely not. But you got to say that what Yager did with the guys around him was more impressive than what Thornton did with having guys like Marlowe and up and young coming talent. Like you got to remember that Ranger team didn't have Mihaliks and Bernier's, guys that had potential and upside on that team. Like there was no Peter Pruka came out of nowhere to score 30 goals as a rookie. Who had Peter Pruka scoring 30 as a rookie? No one. Not even Ranger fans, because most Ranger fans weren't familiar with him.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, because the last guy to score 30 goals in the season for the Rangers also was Czech. That was Radek Dvorak before him.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, Dvorak 2001. He had that 4-goal game against the Islanders that helped.
You know what's amazing, Phil? I'm staring at this. Jaromir Jagr, 277 games as a New York Ranger, 319 points. That is just amazing. And a matter of fact, he was robbed 1 year of his prime with the Rangers. And you look at that deal. Let's just look at that deal. Let's play a little devil's advocate for that one. The Rangers sent Anson Carter there. Wow. That was it? I thought it was cash, too.
It was Yager and half of his salary eaten for Anson Carter straight up. And then Anson Carter was dealt from Washington to LA for, I think, for Jared Allen.
That's amazing. And Anson Carter was a good player, but
he was.
And I really liked him, but I mean, that's just wow. And that's a steal. Yeah. That's just an absolute steal.
The problem is with like Anson. All right, so Anson Carter was brought in to be a savior, which he wasn't. He was just a very good top 6 complementary player that would score a lot of goals based on hard work and skill. Like he had a nice blend of it. But the way that he was treated when he was brought in was that he was another big name ticket to come in and fix a mess. And Anson Carter couldn't fix a mess by himself.
Right.
That was the issue.
Yeah, and it certainly wasn't him. And of course, the 2003 Rangers, and even if you want to say almost 2000, well, you can even go back to 2000. It was the example of too many cooks spoil the stew. And if they would have gotten Yager, it would have been a different story.
If they had gotten Yager in 2001, likely. So the deal that was supposed to be was it was the same package for Lindros. It was Hlavich, Brendel, the 3rd round pick, and Kim Janssen were supposed to go to Pittsburgh. And you would have had Checkmates 2.0. You would have had Dvorak, Nedved, and Yager together. And that would have been Messier still would have been your second center. So he probably would have been getting more time if he could have stayed healthy. Then that's some points there. But you have Messier with York and Fleury. They were in talks with Hull. And I think Hull – I remember watching this on ESPN News. They were that close to signing Hull. Like they were in advanced talks to getting him. No, you're not. You're not crossing stories. I remember this very, very well. That summer, they were that close to one getting Yager and then two bringing in Hull, and then I don't know what they would have done with Fleury and York, but you would have had a pretty stout offense. Problem is that they never had a chance at Rob Blake. Rob Blake re-signed before hitting free agency, so they never had a chance at Rob Blake, which they needed more than anything. But see, Fleury came back and played a full season the next year. He played a full 82 games in 01-02. Like that, if they had more talent around them, they might have been able to pull out that playoff spot because they were lacking scoring power because they dealt York for Pody, which really hurt their offense. Rashinsky, Lindros, and Bury were really good down the stretch together, but they lacked firepower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there was absolutely nothing after Lindros and Bury. And I remember
because
that. I was just like,
Nedved and Dvorak didn't have a second, another winger to work with.
And even when they tried bringing Hlavich back, it really wasn't a great reunion. By the way, I did not remember this because it's all in the book that I'm reading right now. I'm going to plug it once again. We Want Fish Sticks. Great book about the Islanders rebrand of the 90s. But yeah, Jan Hlavich was actually drafted 28th overall by Don Maloney in 95. So how about that? But no, it's Messier. And I'll even argue the Yager trade is a better trade than the Zibanejad trade. It's just that lockout hurt that trade. And I mean, you still would add Yager in his prime. If they got him in 2001, that would be even up there further. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be.
Here's where you debate. Zibanejad, yeah, for value and the numbers, like, yeah, he's given you more than Yager, yes. And I mean, he's gone to 2 Eastern Conference Finals as their number one center, sure. But Yager took the Rangers from a joke to a respectable team again, along with Lundqvist.
Yeah.
Zibanejad didn't have to do that.
Yeah. And that's not a detractor from Zibanejad. It's a compliment to Yager.
No.
And I mean, if you want to get on Zibanejad, you could get on him for basically disappearing in the playoffs. That's a different story.
Down the stretch, yeah.
And especially the deeper it got, it was harder for Zibanejad. But again, I'm not going to take anything away from Zibanejad. He was a hell of a player, and he's been the number one center that the Rangers were craving for so many years. I still think there was another level he could have gotten to, and he still just didn't want to get there. And I think part of it is because sometimes you get guys that just fall in love with their own talent, and he loves that one-timer. That's one of those things about him. He just loves to one-time it. And sometimes it's like the saying in golf, you drive for show, you putt for dough. It's don't just fall in love with, I'm a big driver. Nope. Because you're going to be inaccurate. You're going to shoot it into the woods half the time. So let's go to a guy who's also we could have a debate like him in the future, and Cal Ritchie. Because Cal Ritchie of the New York Islanders, 65 games played, 13 goals, 17 assists, 30 points. He was on pace for 39 points over that 84-game span. Of course, he came over in the Brock Nelson trade. But Cal Ritchie, with an increased role, will score 55 to 60 points.
I'm between beer and shot on this. I assume that he's going to take the number 2 center role. And while I do think it's possible, I don't know where he slots on their power play. That's going to be the thing. It's going to come down to usage for me. I can definitely see 45 to 50. I don't know if I see 55 to 60. That might be tough because they don't have a ton of offensive firepower. I'm going to say beer. I don't want to say shot because that would mean that I think it's just not possible at all. but I'm torn between the two. If there was a between, I would choose that. I just think that there's potential there, and I do think that like at his peak, he's probably somewhere between a 60 to 70 point player. I just don't know if I see it this soon.
Yeah, it's sort of like both of us are looking at this and saying we like the player. We don't know about the usage. And I you know what? I'm not going to go out on a limb on this one. I'll outright say it. I think Pete DeBoer is going to love Cal Ritchie. Now, is that going to be enough to unseat Matt Barzal as the second line center or Bo Horvat, whichever one you want to say is the second line center? I don't think they're going to put Barzal back to wing. I don't know. We'll see about that, what the plan is. So the question is still usage. They do use him on the power play, but they use him on PP2. He had some chemistry just finding the guys in the slot. For a short time it was Duclair, but he was using that. Just a lot of his moves, they were looking really good as a playmaker. Phil, I'm torn on the same thing you are. Just what's his usage? I'm gonna go beer on this one. I didn't want to go shot. I wanted to say shot, but then I clicked beer. But I'm still sticking with the beer, Phil. I think he's got potential, and if he hits 55 to 60, being the third line center, and I think he'd be. I'm trying to think of who he'd be centering. Maybe Maccelli and Pajot, maybe. Like that's if he's a 60-point center on their third line. Oh boy, and the Islanders are going to be really good. I think the Islanders are going to be a lot better than what people think. There's a lot of people that are going, oh, they didn't really do anything. They got Pete DeBoer. Pete DeBoer chose them. He sees something. He's one of the best coaches in the NHL. Trust me, the Islanders are going to be a damn good team next year. And also, they have a damn good goalie still. Let's move on to talk about another guy who's a restricted free agent from that draft class, because we know about what happened with Leo Carlsson and his offer sheet. We know about Connor Bedard, the number 1 overall pick. What about the guy that went third that year, and Adam Fantilli, who had 59 points, 24 goals, 35 assists? And Phil, same thing I did with the Bedard situation in Chicago, where you look at the leading scorers. Zach Werenski in Fantilli's time is blowing the doors off of him. You got Marchenko, who's got 183 points. Fantilli, third place, 140. Voronkov, 113. And Cole Sillinger with 98 points. I guess Cole Sillinger needs to get a little greedy, to quote Tate McRae or something like that. But I don't know. I went for the bad pun, and it just didn't happen.
I know. We're just opening up a can of worms with that whole situation.
Anyway, but Adam Fantilli needs a change of scenery.
Beer? I mean, what is this? His second full season?
I believe it's his third.
Full season, though. Like, I don't think he played a full year in 23-24. No,
he played 49 games.
I don't know. His numbers have gone up. I mean, his goal total went down but his assist totals went up. So it's like they flip-flopped, and he scored 5 more points. I don't think he necessarily needs a change of scenery. I think Columbus would be better served to try and actually build around him. But, I mean, if you're going to give up on him, you better be getting a haul in return. So I'm going to say shot.
Yeah, I don't think it's him that's the problem. And I'm going to say shot on this one as well. I don't think the problem is Adam Fantilli. I think the problem right now is the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were in absolute disarray, because the first year he was going to be going there was the Babcock year. So they got Babcock that signed there. Then Pascal Vincent takes over. He was a bit of a disaster as a coach. And I think I'm being kind about that. Dean Evison comes in. They're sparked by the tragedy with Johnny Gaudreau. I think that also helps with the adrenaline. And I think that they really rallied and they came close. But the thing is now, I think the right guy is there. I think Rick Bowness is there. Rick Bowness says he wants to change around the culture, and I think he's going to do it. He did it in Winnipeg, showed up there and kind of just threw his hands up and said, "Oh, this all needs to change." And you look at his last couple stops, where his last stop where he was actually a head coach was the Dallas Stars. That's been a completely different team since he's been there. Then you have Winnipeg. They went on to win the President's Trophy. I mean, granted, it was afterwards, but that's the thing about installing a culture. You install a culture that the culture stays there long after a coach leaves. And I think Columbus is in desperate need of that. And let's see if him and Don Waddell can completely shake things up there. And if that's the case, Fantilli, you might see an improvement. Is he going to be a point per game guy? I don't know. So I don't think he needs to change the scenery. Guys might try to offer sheet him because that might fall into that like Sebastian Aho tier where you just go, and about the compensation. But I think Columbus is going to match any offer that comes his way. So I don't think he needs to change the scenery. I think he just needs stability and a head coach that wants to be there. And he's got that in spades right now.
But ticket prices are all over the place. I used to waste hours comparing sites until I discovered SeatGeek. Here's the game changer. They actually rate every ticket so you can see which seats give you the best bang for your buck. I've used it for everything from Rangers games to concerts like Billy Joel and comedy shows like Nate Bargatze. The app shows you the view from your seat before you buy, which is honestly genius. No more guessing if you're stuck behind a pole. Whether it's sports, music, or comedy, SeatGeek covers thousands of events. Stop overpaying for mediocre seats. SeatGeek. Let there be live.
Phil, let's look at another restricted free agent, and that's Cutter Gauthier. Cutter Gauthier, who has 41 goals. He was tied for 11th in the NHL this season. And he's a restricted free agent, but I don't think he can be offer sheeted or receive an offer sheet, however you want to say that. Yeah. But Cutter Gauthier should sign a short-term deal to maximize his next contract.
I'm going to say shot. I was going between beer and shot on this. Like, if you're trying to tell me that he should do what Bedard did, then okay, I understand what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
If you're trying to tell me like short term, like 2 or 3 years, then no, definitely not.
Yeah, that's actually a parameter that we sort of need to set and figure that one out, because I can't help but look at this and go, it's like, hey, you know what? You should sign a short-term deal, maximize whatever leverage you got and get there. He doubled his goal production last year, Philk. His teammate just got $11 million from the team, $18 million, and was offered by the team that drafted him. So you can't help but look over and go, how much is he worth? You're gonna have to figure out a number that's gonna appease everybody. And if you go with, say, 7 years at $9 million, that still only puts him at 7 years gets him to 29. Like, you're gonna have to reward the 40 goal season first, because if I'm Cutter Gauthier, I'm going, when's the next time I'm going to score 40 goals? It's not guaranteed. I mean, not guaranteed for anybody. So I gotta leverage this as best I can. So I'm gonna go beer on it, and it's only because if you want to do 5 years, that's the way to go. Don't do any less than that. And if you do less term than that, ask for more money
Hmm.
because you can't lose on all of them. As you said it best, you got three things you can lose on: no trade clause, AAV, or term. Don't lose on all three. And right now, he doesn't have to worry about a no trade clause because they ain't trading a 40 goal scorer. And let's look at another guy, Phil, that had an incredible year once again. I just mentioned his name before talking about Prague, but David Pastrnak, who had a 100-point season again, 4th consecutive 100-point season. Only 15 other players have 4 or more consecutive 100-point seasons. And I mean, obviously, you can name Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux,
Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, Peter Stastny, Dale Howard, Chuck, Nikita Kucherov, Connor McDavid. I believe Leon Draisaitl is one of them. Again, it's a very, very over the long history of the NHL of over 100 years that has been the NHL. It's not a lot of players.
Yeah, and Jaromir Jagr, part of his problem was lockout and dead puck era. Otherwise, he would have been right there as well.
Yeah.
But let's look into the future, go into the crystal ball, if you will. Or I could always hum the Zelda theme for the fortune teller. David Pastrnak will notch his 5th consecutive 100-point season, tying him for the 3rd most all time.
I'm going to go round. I don't think this is a layup. I'm going to go round, though. There's not a lot of talent on this team, this Boston team. What did they improve in? Like, what's that Boston Bruins roster looking like to the point where you're going to say, hey, I think that this is an absolute, like, 110% lock that he can do this. Because, one, he's going to have to stay healthy. He had 100 even on the money. They bring in J.J. Peterka? Okay. Fraser Minton and James Hagan taking that next step would go a long way. But their center depth is very thin. It's really not all that good. You have a relatively unproven Minton. Pavel Zacha? You think Pavel Zacha is actually the guy? I mean, maybe him and Pastrnak have that great chemistry and that's it. But I mean, Elias Lindholm kind of been a little bit of a waste of a contract. I mean, his contract won't look as bad as time goes by just because these contracts are shooting through the roof. Like a year ago at this time, his contract looked like crap.
Yeah.
Now, as of like a few weeks ago, it doesn't look nearly as bad. But he's still not a very productive player. You still want more out of him for what he is. But James Higgins looks like he might be a cornerstone piece that you could build around one day. Fraser Minton looks like Toronto is absolutely kicking himself for that Brandon Carlo trade. Oh,
yeah, how's Brandon Carlo looking right now?
Yeah, that's not good. It's not good. But I don't know if I see this team as much improved offensively. Again, you're looking at a team that didn't go out and make like much big improvements, and I do think that they have 2 young players that are potential top 6 forwards there. It's just, again, like Cal Ritchie, is it this year? Is it this year that they take those steps, or is that going to be more of a gradual thing? Like, it's a lot to expect from James Higgins. Like, James Higgins came in as really a rookie, basically straight out of college, and spent had a cup of coffee with them. You never know. I mean, I tell you right now, I'm rooting for the kid from Hopok. I'm always going to root for the Long Island kids. Matty Coronado in Calgary, he's probably their best player right now. I mean, he needs some help around him in Calgary. But, yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's very possible that Pastrnak does it. Personally, I would love to see Pastrnak get into that 6 range. where he has like 2 or 3 more 100-point seasons, and then you start looking at the greatest players of all time, and then Pasternak's game just starts creeping up that list, and he'll never close the gap on Jágr and Hasek. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. They're just 2 of the very best ever. But David Pastrnak being as the 3rd best player that's ever come from your country, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's actually, you said a lot right there, and you said a lot of good stuff. So I'm just going to try to be short and sweet with it. He's going to do it. He's got 2 extra games now. So him barely getting it, he'll cross over that very easily. And the funny thing is, he's one of those guys, Phil, he could do this on his own. And it's like, not in hockey is that really where you're ever capable, because it's the ultimate team sport. You can't do this all by yourself, but he makes things happen. I had a coach that used to tell me, if you're complaining about not having the puck, go get it. And that's what he does. And he not only does that, but he also finds open areas so well. And he creates space for himself. And he's an excellent passer. Nobody gives him enough credit for the passing. And he's an incredible talent. I think you're right. I think it's done. He's the 3rd best Czech player of all time. I don't think there's anybody that's the best.
But Elias was never this close to being one of the best players in the game the way that Pastrnak is. And not only that, but look at the perfection line. Look at Marchand and Bergeron before Pastrnak.
Oh, yeah.
Look at after.
Right. And that's how much just one guy you can inject them and change around everything. Now, by the way, to be fair to Patrick Elias, and of course, to be fair, he played on a restrictive New Jersey Devils team. I wonder what he'd be like if he was allowed to really freewheel. And maybe that's what also made him great, because he was able to focus on the defensive aspect of the games. And as Chico Resch has said often, nobody forechecks like the Devils. So, and that, now speaking about which, we were talking about culture before, that was culture that was instilled by Lou, and they were able to interchange head coaches over time, even bringing head coaches back and even having Lou go down to the bench. And yet the culture was always still there. That's why culture is a very important thing.
It's a Steinbrenner-like ran operation. That's the way that Lamoriello wanted it, because he was friends with George.
Right, but also when you think about it, how much, and we're not trying to, we'll get one more word on Pastrnak in a minute, but how much of that also, you go from Jacques Lemaire to Pat Burns to Pat Burns to Robbie Ftorek to Larry Robinson. I'm just naming them all. Claude Julien was a failure as a Devils head. The worst Devils head coaches under Lamoriello were probably Claude Julien and John McClain. And trust me, he wanted John McClain to succeed. And I'm not saying that to slam John.
McClain. He and McClain had a relationship going years and years back to when he drafted McClain.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're those guys that you can't help but root for. And that's what probably Lou was thinking the entire time. But yeah, I just to repeat this again, it's around, and it's because of the player. I just think Pastrnak, he's not going to need much help. He's going to find a way to get all the points, and he's going to make everybody around him better. And I don't think he had a full season with Geeky last year. I think Geeky missed some time as well, and he was having a career goal-scoring year. So, again, by the way, that's a team the New York Rangers are not better than, just to kind of pour some cold water on a lot of people. All right. And, Phil, we got one more Bar Talk comment, which is the San Jose Sharks 2 years ago, 52 points. Last year, Macklin Celebrini puts the team on his back. If you remember that old Greg Jennings video with Greg Jennings, I put the team on my back, though. So that would be what Macklin Celebrini did. 82 points last year is what the team did. The San Jose Sharks will make the playoffs in 26-27.
I'm gonna say beer. I get it. They have probably one of the top 5 best players in the league when you look at maybe just outside of the top 5. If you want to argue that, you want to look at McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Kucherov. I would say Celebrini is probably number 5 for me, just because he's not as proven as the others. But I don't know how you don't look at him as a top 5 guy, really. They have some very good young talent. It depends on what you get out of Igor Chernyshov. If he breaks out next year, Michael Misa, Colin Graff has looked really good as a signing there. I mean, what does Ivar Stenberg do there? You bring in Mason Marchment. You still have Tyler Toffoli, that I still think can score 25 goals depending on his usage. You bring in Trouba and Nurse to complement Dickinson, Orlov, and then Michael Kesselring is there as a third pair right shot D. Or you can move Orlov down to the third pairing. So, or maybe Trouba is the third pairing guy there. I don't know, but I'd imagine that one of Kesselring or Trouba is probably going to complement Sam Dickinson on that top line. I don't think it's going to be Orlov. I think their styles kind of clash there a little bit. Darnell Nurse is going to eat up minutes for them. That's really where I think they're going to have problems, is their defense. And what are they going to get from Yaroslav Askarov? That's going to be the big thing. It's their goaltending and their defense. I think the offense can get them there. I just don't know if I trust the defense. I don't know if I trust the goaltending yet either, because Askarov was not good this year. He just wasn't by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, .883 save percentage, .363 goals against. Yikes, dude. Those numbers are just frightening from a guy that was brought in to be the future of your franchise in net. So, I mean, when Alex Nedeljkovic comes in and he posts significantly better numbers, it's not a good look for you. I mean, Askarov's got to go back. Askarov's got to go and win back that net. If he does, then they have a chance. I just don't. Again, I don't like the defense. I don't really like the goaltending right now. I think Edmonton is probably going to have a bounce back year where they'll probably try to fight for the division. Vegas is going to come back pissed off. I tell you right now, they're not going to be happy about losing in the finals the way that they did. LA, I really don't know what to say about them right now, just because their center depth is so thin. I like some of their wingers, but I mean, is Panarin really going to have to kind of drag a line by himself again there? And their defense, Drew Doughty, he's another year older. He's getting closer to 40. They're just that group is just not a great group either. Anaheim, I don't think, is really going anywhere. Supposedly, there's been Troy Terry's name floating around the rumor mill just because of the whole Cutter Gauthier situation. What do you? I don't think they're going anywhere either. But they, what happens if they lose somebody? I don't know, but I just think there are too many teams for San Jose, and if they don't do anything to further fix up the defense, because I don't think they did enough. I don't like the Trouba and Nurse acquisitions. I like Nurse at a lower figure than $9 million, even though I don't think he's as bad as some people say. I still think he eats minutes responsibly, but Trouba at $8.25 million is one of the worst deals in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
That's a horrendous deal. He showed you time and time again over the last 3 years that he is not worth that figure, and you went and you signed him to that.
3 years. How about 8?
All right. He wasn't worth the $8 million in New York, but he has gotten progressively worse over the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. Phil, you covered everything. So I guess let me just say it like this. I'm going to buy a round because if you get anything out of Michael Misa or Will Smith, I think that could be enough offense to help them get over the hump. Celebrini, I know it's asking him a lot to do it again. I think he's gonna. I think he's that good. This guy is an elite talent, an elite talent. I'm talking about that stratosphere where there's only, you could argue, Kucherov, McKinnon, and McDavid are all on. And I think because of him, specifically, San Jose Sharks are going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a top 3 team in that division. And the team that's going to get knocked out of that top 3, there's a lot of good candidates. Vegas is going to be having their first year with a brand new head coach. Are they going to be ascending, or are they going to be regressing a little bit? After all, remember, the Rangers under Colin Campbell regressed quite a lot, but they would end up getting better in year 2. Then you would have a lot of other coaches that they were good, or even a couple years ago, Pete DeBoer, and then going to Glenn Gulletson for Dallas. There's a more recent example. So we have that. Team that's going to regress the most is going to be the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think Mike Babcock is the right coach. I was a Babcock believer. Not anymore. Not anymore in any of that. Phil, the other thing about them is they signed a guy for the goal who will turn 37 before, actually, as the season starts, because now it's ridiculously early. The season is going to start in October. Sorry, September. Last week of September. He turns 37 in October. And we all know about 37. Draw the line. Boo! There he goes. And that's Freddie Anderson for you. And his numbers last year in the regular season, Phil, this was 36. 36-year-old Freddie Anderson. He was 35 games played, 16, 14, 5, and an 874 goals against and a 305. Sorry, a same percentage of 305 goals against. Oh, my goodness. Jack Campbell retired yesterday. I wanted to try to find a way to mix him in. I didn't want to do it like this. Jack Campbell could probably come back and get better numbers than that. And that's what's going to propel San Jose in. And now imagine if you get anything from Askarov. I mean, Seattle should just call their team the Seattle Mid. So that'll just make it easy for everybody.
Steven used to call Minnesota Wild the side
salad
of the NHL. Like, I think Seattle has officially taken that title. Like,
yeah, they're just there.
What is this team doing? I mean, Bobby McMahon. Really, that's your big acquisition. I mean,
he was good for him when he came over last year.
Samoskevich was a nice pickup for them. Berkeley Catton, I get it, has potential, but like you're going to need a big breakout from him in order to even come close to a playoff spot. Capo Caco has been Capo Caco. I don't know any other way to like say it, but like I mean, their defense, Dunn and Larson, okay, that's like a lower end top pairing in the NHL. Like right now, those guys both belong on a second pairing on a contender. And then Riker Evans, Brandon Montour hasn't been the 70-point Brandon Montour that he was in Florida. And then,
nor was he going to be, not outside the Florida system.
Not outside that, yeah. And then Ryan Lindgren and Cale Fleury as a third pairing. Like, I mean, I don't, yeah. This is something that I think they should probably explore, but they won't. I would try to see if I could get value from Matty Beniers, because if you want to talk about a change of scenery candidate, it's him. He needs to get the hell out of Seattle because he's not going to develop there. Like, he has stagnated, and he has stagnated hard. I don't know if he's checked out or not, but they don't have anything. And I know that Bettman wants this team to succeed more than anything, but they are not looking good right now.
No, they're not.
And I want to check the attendance numbers on them, but I can't imagine that Seattle's numbers are very good because they just do not have a team that's really worth watching right now.
All right. Well, we're going to check on that. We're actually going to keep the show going. We do have a few pick'ems. Thank you to Phil for getting him in there because I didn't have him. And I just saw them just now.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, okay.
Sorry.
We got a couple pick'ems to do. And it's, well, let's get to it.
I've got a gut feeling.
You want me?
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.